Okay, so in this video, what you're about to watch is that, this is the short of it. I'm learning how to put these intros in front of my videos so that way you kind of know what you're getting into before you commit to the time to watch it. But in this one, very quick, we're starting a new series. We're building a bunch of power apps on the Power Platform to help a company build out their investment real estate company. And we're going to do that with a bunch of apps. So if you look at my screen share here, the apps that we're going to be creating is going to be these 6 right here. It's going to be the task tracker, which is the one that we're going to start with. In this video, all I do is show you the wireframe. Then we're going to jump into another video, the deal analyzer, contract management, offer automator, project planner, construction budget. We're going to go ahead and build that out. What do the screens look like? All right, for this one here, we're building this screen set here. This is the task tracker. This is the first screen of the task tracker. Then we're going to build out this screen here, then we're going to build out this screen here. What order are we going to build these out? Again, if you go back to the whiteboard here, this is the core framework before you start building. You gather the requirements, which I've already done for the task tracker. You build out the wireframes, which I just showed you. They're not complete. There's some screens that are missing, but that gets the room nodding their head that says, yep, that's exactly what we need. Those are the features. That makes sense. Go ahead, move forward. Process flow, really a technical piece. List data schema, really a technical piece. But I'm going to show you all of these components in the next video. In this video, details about the partner, what we're going to build, and I think it's going to be 25 videos in the series. That's it. Here's the video. Okay, so this is going to be a very, very interesting series. And I think it's going to be different in the sense that we're going to get more out of this environment, the office and screen share, to actually walking around using applications that we're going to develop using the Power Platform. So I have an opportunity. I actually sit on the board of a real estate company. And with this real estate company, they do investments to where they buy properties to flip, they buy properties to hold. They also interact with a construction company, so they need to manage this construction company, manage the process of the rehab, as well as, keep their budgets and all this stuff in tech. So they've been doing this for years, but they're working using this with spreadsheets and a conglomerate set of third-party systems. And as you know, with each one of these third-party systems, everything is disconnected. They're separate usernames and passwords. And now they're looking to say, okay, is there a better way to leverage technology to take this business to another level? And I kind of raised my hand and said, absolutely there is. And let me introduce you to the Microsoft Cloud platform, which is M365. So with this organization, they're currently using Zoom calls for everything. They use Facebook groups to kind of collaborate and interact. They use Google Drive for Google Sheets and spreadsheets and all this other fun stuff. And, Google Photos for this and, just all these other third parties to really trying to kind of make this happen. And everything's disconnected and they need that synergy. They need things to be connected and they need a central location for everyone to communicate and kind of collaborate on the various projects that they have. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do a beta. So you're going to watch me actually build this up from, getting them on the 365 platform, doing a beta, building apps using Power Apps, building apps and process automation using Power Automate, and really building reports and all this other good stuff using Power BI. They also have a ton of data that is available third party. So I think it's Rapid API. It's a wonderful platform to give you APIs at a very reasonable rate to where you can subscribe to these different APIs based on your usage need and really just kind of bring in the data that you need to run your business. So we're going to be looking at that may be another one, just like, okay, how do you interact with these third-party APIs in the Microsoft 365 platform? So in short, what we're going to do is take a real business use case live, and they agreed to, allow me to build this in a abstract way, right? So we not don't we definitely they have competitors, they have markets that they go interacting with. So there's certain things that we have to be careful on what we mention, but you will be able to go with me on this journey to use these tools to solve real business problems. And actually, I can take you outside of the office and go on the job site and see how they're actually using these to make real business decisions and operate and track tasks real time with their business and their crews here in the Cincinnati area. So it's going to be pretty interesting, and I'm super excited to take this on, and super excited to work out loud and work in a social media way to where you can kind of see these things happen real time. So that's going to be the focus on this particular series. Now, with that, we have identified 6 applications that we need to create, right? So the first one, and these are not going to be in order. So the first one's actually going to be a task tracker, right? And basically what they need this task tracker to do is to, I guess, for their maintenance people. So they have these real estate, they have these buildings that are already developed, and they have maintenance people that go out and do different tasks at different properties in the metro area. So we're going to focus on this task tracker. But before we get into the details of the task tracker, let's list out the other ones, and then let's just do a broad stroke on how the different pieces of these applications, how they work in the grand scheme of their business. So the other one that we need to build is a deal analyzer. And with the deal analyzer, I don't know if this doesn't have spells, so I may be spelling all these incorrect. This is what they need to do is improve the way that they make offers on different properties, right? And we're in a market now where it used to be a seller's market, where you can have multiple buyers going after one property and speed was everything. Now that's starting to shift as of January 2023 to where it's starting to be a buyer's market, meaning that you can pick from the cream of the crop and you can really take your time and analyze this. But they still want to be able to analyze deals quickly. If there's an opportunity to make an offer, to be able to make those offers in an automated, in a more efficient manner than what they're doing today. So there's a lot of emailing going out and a lot of contracts that are going back and forth, but they want to be able to manage that. So the deal analyzer would be the next one that we'll create. And then the third one would be a contract management process or system. So with contract management, again, as you can see with the deals, there are several contracts that go out. So imagine that you identify a piece of property, right? And through the deal analyzer, they're going to say, we want to buy this property and flip it, or we want to buy this property and sell it to someone else, another investor, or we want to buy this property and hold it and put a renter inside of it, right? So with this particular property, you're going to have 3 different options. The deal analyzer is going to let you know based on this property, or the fourth one could be pass, right? It doesn't make sense based on our portfolio and what we're trying to do. So the first one would be, do we want to wholesale this? Do we want to buy it, fix it up, and put a renter inside of it? Or do we want to buy it, fix it up, and sell it back on the open market? So, or again, the one I didn't say, or do we just say we're going to pass because it's not a good fit? So the deal analyzer is going to do that. And with all of the process that goes with the deal analyzer, there's going to be a set of contracts, right? So you're going to have an offer, you're going to have a purchase agreement, and then you get into the finance pieces of it, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of different flavors of contracts, and all of these contracts are going to be tied to a particular property or project, and we need to sort and manage these accordingly, right? In a way. So we're going to have a contract manager. The other one they have is the offer automator. And these names may change over time, but we'll see. So the offer automator, again, when you find a project or when you find a property and you pass the deal analyzer and you say, yep, this is a good fit, let's go ahead and make an offer, there is definitely certain things that you have to consider. The amount you're going to make the offer. You want to, if you're working with a realtor or a real estate agent, you want to make sure that, you communicate your parameters of the offer that you want to send out to the seller and some other things that they want to do. They're managing this now, but this is all manual, right? So, the title company, the price, they can do calculators on the price, the max allowable offer, and that they want to work up to. All of this is all manual today with calculators, so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is bake inside of the offer automator the formulas on how they come up with offers based on the level of rehab that the project or the property require, and then automatically send those emails out to the respective people, whether that be a realtor agent or the seller agent or whatever the case may be. We want to automate that process. So that's going to be coming up within the series as well. The other thing that we want to do is the construction, let's say project planner. I'm trying to think of these real time in the sequence that they should be. So the sequence may change over time. So don't quote me on this order on how I'm presenting. But basically the project planner is that, okay, we got this project, this house. It passed the analyzer. Our offer was accepted. We got it financed, and we pretty much own this project. Now we need to do the rehab if it follows the rehab scenario. If you're wholesaling, there's no rehab option in here. Only for flip and buy and holds would you potentially have a rehab. With that rehab, you're going to have several things. One, you want to plan the level of a rehab. You're going to have to, there's a construction budget that you have to stay within. And then you have an order of execution of how these subcontractors or the different contractors that are going to help with the rehab, who do you call first? And then once that's done, who do you call next? Which one of these you can do in parallel? Then there's actual timeline. So most of these you may be working with investors who are investing money inside of your project, either through syndication or through a partnership. And through those investors that's giving you the money, you want to be able to present to them, we're going to get X, Y, Z done, and this is the timeline, and this is the quality of the rehab we are expecting. So all of that's going to be in the project planner. Today, most of this is done in spreadsheets, right? And for, with these projects, I mean, this group probably do 50 to 100 projects a year. So with these projects, sometimes there's a lot of repetition, and through this, they're copying existing ones, they're scrubbing it, and then they're massaging it to fit their current project. And now what we want to do is to templatize, is that a word? Make a template of the planner to where they can easily turn these on fairly quickly. And then from that, and again, these may be out of order, but we'll figure out the right order in the sequence for them. We're going to have a construction budget. Construction budget. Did I spell this right? I don't know. But the construction budget is really just coming up with the number of what the budget should be. And again, this may be a lot earlier in the process, because once you're doing that deal analyzer, and maybe this comes in two flavors. Now that I think about it, maybe it's two flavors. Maybe there is a high level budget that says, that's going to be anywhere between the range of 80 to 100,000. Let's budget for 100,000, and then we kind of figure out what the breakdown is going to be. The construction budget is going to be really that next level down, that itemized level of, okay, we need, we're doing this amount for paint. Here's the material, and here's the labor. We have this for plumbing. Here's the material, here's the labor. This for the kitchen, here's material, this is the labor, so on and so forth. So you kind of list out all your rooms within the property, and then you go through with a very detailed list of how many switches, how many plugs, the pipes that you're replacing, if you're doing the upgrade, the electrical you're replacing if you're doing the upgrade, so on and so forth. A lot of this may be hard to calculate, but there is they already have a system in place to where you can itemize and you can calculate these numbers, and exactly what you should be spending. The goal is to stay under the budget number for that particular line item. If you go over, that's usually a yellow flag unless you can make it up in other items in the budget. So really this is creating that construction budget. So do we have 6? So I have 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So the one that we're going to start with is going to be this guy here, because I think this is low-hanging fruit. And again, this is going to be, how do you digitalize a process that's currently manual? How do you automate a process that's currently manual? And what are the steps to do that? And obviously you want to go with some type of beta. Again, this is not a brand new situation. This is a situation that's been working, and they're looking for technology to enhance it, because some of the decisions and the tech decisions that were made, they were kind of flying by the seat of their pants. That says, oh, we need something to communicate with our partners. Okay, yes, let's use Zoom, right? And sometimes that's the most, I won't say obvious choice, but the most popular choice. But is it the right choice? Those are the things that are going to be challenged. We need a place to manage documents and files. Right now, it's not a cloud solution. It's on someone's laptop. Very risky, right? If something happens to that laptop, the disk locks up, or the laptop is missing or damaged, or whatever the case may be, most of the critical documents are there, or they in email. And if something that's been emailed to you, you grab that, it's at the latest and greatest. Some of the common issues that most organizations and most outfits have, we're going to be able to come here and solve it. How fast we're going to be able to get through this? I'm giving this 12 months, right? So this series will drip over a 12-month period, and it will be real time. So as we solve and as we encounter situations and certain pivots and decisions have to be made, we will be working through that out loud and documenting that process, and you will be able to come along with the right. So with all that said, we're going to do the task tracker. And what does that look like? So with all of these, with any one of these apps, and this is something that I've been sharing since day one, and this is the outline on how you create these apps. The first thing you start with is, one, you gather some type of requirements. You need to understand the business. You need to understand the process. You need to understand what problem they're trying to solve. Then from that, you go into a wireframe, right? And this really just take these requirements that are kind of like floating and ideas are in the air, put them to something that's more tangible. Sometimes in the requirements, someone would, draw out or try to say, okay, I'm looking at a screen that has this, and when we, to fulfill this requirement, maybe there's a screen that does this, and when they click this button, it should go X, Y, Z. So you're going to have your wireframes, and then you're going to have some type of process flow, right? And this is for the automation piece of it. And you're going to have some type of list or data schema, right? And basically, this really kind of helps drive and get you set up for the actually implementation process, right? So, we have our requirements, understand, what we're trying to build, not necessarily the how. And then we have the wireframe, which is really a draft of how we're going to build it. The process flow is how it's going to work. And then the list schema is the mechanics of how we're actually going to store the data. And this is more developer driven, but understanding how this data is going to be stored and sharing that at a wide scale, even at the business decision-making process, really kind of put things into perspective, because this also opens up the eyes of where are the integration points. Maybe this data is needed going out to feed another process, and maybe there's external data that needs to come in to help enhance this process. So highlighting this data schema will kind of help these future areas in the future. Okay, so now that so I met with them, I have high-level requirements of what the task tracker is needed, and now I put together a wireframe, and let's take a look at what that entails. So here we have the wireframe for the task tracker app. It's really important for them there's a couple of things when working with their folks, and these could be hourly folks, or this could be a subcontractor that they hire in to do maintenance. But there's key things that they want to highlight. One, They do not pay these tasks or track these tasks or pay someone by the hour. I know I just mentioned hourly, folks, but even if you're on the team and you're getting paid by on a consistent basis, right? They really want this to be driven by the task. So they itemize each task and they put a number against what the cost or what the pay is for that task. They also wanted to highlight that, make sure that the maintenance people or the workers are working on the high priorities first. And, as you assign these tasks out, you're going to set a priority. And that could be due date driven, or it could be just priority. Like, hey, this is a hot item. I need you to drop everything and get on this right away because there's a water leak or wherever the case may be. So the top tasks will float here, and there will be a way to prioritize and make these top tasks compared to everything else. The My Tasks, these are going to be different views of the different tasks for the individual. And again, this is the individual view. So as you log in as a user, these would be the top tasks assigned to you. And these would be different views to where you can view these various tasks. Which ones are coming due soon? That's a simple filter by due date. Which property, show me all the tasks for a particular property. Again, I'm floating across multiple properties in my area. So, I'm at the Zenzo location. Show me everything that needs to be done here. And this is a quick filter for that. Show me things that were recently updated. These tasks, as you can see in the next screen, will have a commenting system, a two-way communication to the person who is the creator of the task and then the person who is assigned the task. There need to be an area to where they can communicate. If there's recent communications, I need to be able to see that. I need to see all my tasks, regardless of their status, regardless if they're closed or if they're open. I need to view that. I need to see the tasks that I'm currently blocked. That's a status that the user can set, the assignee can set. Assignee or assigner? The person who's assigned to the task, right? They may get there and say, hey, I want to do X, but I need this product. And they're going to put that in I need this material, I need this tool, I need this whatever. They're going to put that in the comments, but they're going to flag that as blocked. So, now they can see which tasks are blocked, an easy filter, and then the completed ones will be there. Now, here's where things get interesting. Like the whole priority of the task, due dates and all, that's just standard task stuff, right? If you're doing that to manage a property or machine or whatever, or even a project, all of that is pretty common, pretty well known. This is where things get interesting. The pro score. And this is something that we kind of came together because the issue is at the end of the day, the main driver, the main requirement is I need things done on time and I need things done right. It doesn't help me if you're getting things knocked out and it's sloppy, it doesn't work, and your work is crap, right? So quality is everything. And quality means several different things, right? Quality is the quality of the work. Did you install this the right way? When you painted this, did you paint within the trim? Then you get paint on different parts of the trim, right? Are you painting wall covers or plug covers or switches, things that shouldn't be painted, right? Are you painting fire detectors, right? Which is a huge no-no, which should never be painted. Anyway, but what's the quality of your work? Then are you reliable? Are you showing up on time, right? So, if I tell the resident or the renter that you're going to be there at 10 a.m., did you show up at 11 or at 12 with no notifications? We understand things happen, but what is your on-time arrival? So that speaks to the quality. Communication is the other thing. If you couldn't accomplish something, did you communicate that? If you were going to be late, did you communicate that, right? So all of these are different KPIs that are going to be measured by the individual. And the goal is to stay in the 90 percentile, right? That's the key for all of these areas. And we want to grow this to where they can scale. We want to build this in a way that it can grow, it can scale in the event they find a different KPI. And then at the end, for the current user, this is probably the most important piece outside of keeping your numbers up and staying on top of your tasks is what is the payout. Again, each one of these tasks are individually priced. So just say, for example, I'm going to make this up. Payday is every Friday. They're looking at and say, okay, this Friday I can expect this amount because I closed these tasks. And understand that the statuses speak to that. So there's a status to where the person who's assigned this task that says this is complete, then there's a verification process that says, yep, it is complete, so let's close it. You only get paid once it's closed, right? So if you got a bunch of completes queuing up and it's Thursday afternoon, you probably pressuring your task owner that says, hey, these been done. Can you go ahead and close these out? Because this has a direct reflection on my bottom line, on how much I expect my check to be on a Friday. So this is going to be the payout. All right, so let's look at what some other screens look like. So once you click into one of those buttons and you get a filter, either your top task, your block task, or your due coming due soon or coming soon task, whatever. This is the view that you have. So you get a nice summary view, task description, the property, the priority, the due date, who's the owner of the task, who actually created this, the current status of it, and then you click the little arrow to get into the details. Before I go into the detail screen, notice what I'm doing here. This is one of the most common Power App templates to where you have a gallery and all this stuff to view. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not coming in trying to recreate the wheel as far as our development framework and our development pattern. My goal is, and if you're familiar with this channel, my goal is always to use what the components are going to do out of the box and what they're built to do, and try not to manipulate it, meaning that I'm creating a huge maintenance nightmare for me in the future. So this is just going to be a simple gallery. I'm taking the template that I get normally when I drop a gallery on the canvas, and I'm going to configure the template to get the key information that I need to display this. They love this, right? So I show them all the screens. They're blown away. They're blown away. Like, the promise is high, but I think the level of fruit to accomplish this is not a lot of effort, right? As long as you're architecting these business applications to solve these real world business problems, as long as you're using the systems and the components and the technology to where it's really, normal first class citizen type scenario is normal for the application, you should be able to crank these out quickly, right? You should be able to crank these out quickly. So we're gonna test that and make sure that's still true. But anyway, so now that we go into the detail of each one of these tasks, now this is what a detailed task look like. So you're gonna, again, it repeats a lot of this. Notice what I'm doing from a user experience perspective. When I commit to, this is how I'm going to display the status. This is the color. This is the position I'm going to display that status. I carry that over to my next screen. And this will be consistent. And that just helps with usability and the experience in general. So then, again, I keep listing out everything that's here. I do add a new piece of information where I have the payout here. I have a status. This is editable. Notice these are read-only. This is one that the user can change. So this is where, the previous status was in progress. I'm going to change that to completed because I actually knocked that out. Here's the description. Here's a photo gallery. This is going to be interesting, right? But, at the top of my head, I think this is just simply an attachment component using out the form control. And then they can just attach photos and add them to a gallery. Now, the one thing I'm not too happy with this setup, and this is something we can grow into, is this photo is going to be mixed, right? So the person who's creating this task may have photos to support the description. This is what the task is about. This is what needs to be done. Here's some photos of the area that needs to be repaired or fixed or whatever. And that would kind of be there. In addition to those photos, the owner of the person who's assigned the task would then say, I completed XYZ. This is where they'll add comments. And here's photos of what it looks like after I've done the work, right? And you can add those photos. So all of those can kind of be a mixed bag here. And I would really like to separate those, but they're okay. And I told them that, it may be an extra effort to pull this off, but out the gate, if we leave these as a mix, that would be fine. And they were okay with that. So, I think this is going to work out fine. And then here is going to be comments. The one thing I don't have here in the wireframe that we probably have to go back is that you're adding comments, but where do I see the history of the comments? Where do I go to see all of the comments? And will that be here on this screen, or do I have another action and take on another screen to say view all comments, wherever the case may be? That's yet to be determined. So we have to figure that piece out. But, you know, say fill out all of this. If they change out the status, I won't say fill out everything because most of this is read only. So all you can do here as a task, a person assigned to the task, is add photos, add comments, and save it. And then change the status, obviously, right? So again, that's what we do with the wireframe. So now that's where I'm at. So now where I have the wireframe, if we go back to our whiteboard, I want to create some type of process flow. So once they click save, who gets notified? How do you notify the task owner? What does that look like? What do those emails look like? So, you know, that would be the next step. And then once I have that, then I would get into the list scheme and the data. These are the two that we're going to tackle in the next video. With all that said, welcome to the series. I think it's going to be very interesting. Pretty excited to start shooting videos outside of the office, outside of this black background, black t-shirt, screen share. I think, you know, being out in the element and seeing these applications and stuff being used is going to be very interesting. How many videos would this end up being? I have no idea. So I think I'm going to start, right, because my thumbnails need to have something. And I'm learning two things when creating series on YouTube. One, I need to have a thumbnail that combines them all together. I can't have a series of videos and use different thumbnails and the thumbnails are not related some way, somehow. Of course, the titles will be different, but the thumbnails need to be consistent for the series. So that way, if someone's looking at it, and if you don't land on the playlist, you know, the thumbnails are kind of uniform. You can say, oh, here's one of this, here's one. So the thumbnail consistency is one. So I'm gonna have to figure out a thumbnail family for this. I love that. Thumbnail family. I need to figure out a thumbnail family for this. The other thing is the count. And this is very hard to do because most of this is organic, right? Meaning that, oh, okay, I'm building this piece, so let me go ahead and build it. Let me record it, da, 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 da. So how many videos would that series be, right? I can do 1, 2, 3, but I would rather do one of 50 and force this to be 50. I think we can do that. So let's do that. Or is it 25? 50 sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Yeah. Let's do 25. So I'm gonna do 1 to 25. Now, I can make it hit 25. I can back into that. That's fine. The problem I run into is when it's more than 25, because now I have to go and redo all the thumbnails, which thankfully YouTube allows us to do. Like they allow us to change the thumbnail of the existing video and keep your stats versus updating that video and erasing all your stats. So let's start with 25. So this is going to be 1 to 25. Welcome to the series. Let's get started.